Hello, in this video I'm going to share some tips and tricks to manage your students during a Teams call when using the web version on Teams. So here I am on the left-hand side. I have the teacher side. So I am the presenter here in this call. And on the right-hand side, I have a student screen. I have a couple of students joining. And one thing that you may need to do is have a student present during your lesson. So if you need a student to share their screen, you can make that student a presenter at any point. First, you're going to go to the three dots next to that student's name, and you're going to go ahead and select Make a Presenter. So you're going to confirm here, click Change, and now that student will be in the presenters group, and the student will now have the opportunity to share their screen using the share feature like you do. After that student is done presenting, you can go ahead and make them an attendee. So I can go ahead back to those three dots, click and make an attendee. Confirm the change, and then the student will automatically be in the attendees group, and the sharing option will be grayed out. Now, another thing you can do is to pin users in a call. When you're in a Teams call in the web version, you can only see one title at a time, and this is based on the participation during the call. So if, for instance, if student 2 were to start talking, then that student will show up here in the screen. But let's say I want my student 1 to be in my screen at all times, regardless of who's speaking during the call, whether it is because I want to keep a closer eye on them or because that student needs to have a sign language interpreter up at all times, or the student needs to have the teacher up at all times in their screen instead of the actual person who's talking. So what you can do is pin someone so that they're always the tile or the screen here. I can do that in two different ways. The first way is to locate that person here over in the participants list and click on those three dots and select pin. So now that student will be pinned to my Teams call main screen, regardless of who's talking in the call. If I want to unpin that student, I can go back to those three dots and select unpin. Another way of doing that is locating the tile for that student here in this bottom section, and I can right click and pin, and that would have the same effect, and then I can go ahead and unpin them by clicking on this little push pin. Now, this is something that is done only on the user's end when they apply this. What I mean is that if I pin student 2 or student guess here, that means that this student will be pinned only in my Teams call. Note how that change doesn't reflect on the student's screen. So if a student needs to do this, like pin a teacher, they need to learn about this so that they can go ahead and pin whoever they need to pin. So for instance, here I can pin the teacher, and then they can be looking at the teacher at all times. Now, if you have students that are English learners in your class, that would really benefit from having subtitles in a specific language. You can take advantage of the translating feature in PowerPoint. How do I do this? So first, I'm going to go ahead and open my PowerPoint that I need, and this has to be done through Office 365. So I'm going to go ahead and start from my app portal, and I'm going to go to my Office 365 suite. And here I'm going to locate the PowerPoint that I need to use. I used the PowerPoint recently, so it's here in my recent, so I'm just going to click on this one here. And this is a PowerPoint that I like to use with my class. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into the slideshow option here. And I'm going to select always use subtitles. I can specify what the spoken language is. In this case, it's English. And then what subtitle language I need. So I can select Spanish here. And then we had additional options like where do I want the subtitles to appear? So I want the subtitles below the slide. Now from there, I'm going to go ahead and click on Present Live. And I'm going to go ahead and click Show Slides. And now here you're going to see that all of what you say, it's going to be translated live in the bottom part of the slide. So what I need to do now is share this with my students. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my call here, and I will go ahead and share my screen. So I can click here, and I'm going to select my desktop. And once I share my screen, I see that my student is able to see the subtitles in the bottom part of my screen. So this is a great tool if you need to have subtitles in a different language other than English in your classroom. Now, the limitation with this option is that you need to have the slide up in your screen at all times so that the subtitles are visible for the students. So if, for instance, you need to use something else in that screen, like if you need them to go to Schoology and you just put it in front of the slide, then that will be blocking the subtitles. So another way of doing this, instead of having the subtitles be shown through the screen that you're sharing, is having your students join your presentation in their own web browser so that that screen is in their computer. So how do I do that? I can just go ahead and click on copy link here in my session. And I can then go to my Teams call. I'm going to paste it in the chat. And now my students can go ahead and click on that link and it will open in their own window. So from here, it's easier for students to be reading any subtitles or any translations because it's going to be on this right-hand side panel and they will be able to catch up on anything that they missed in case their reading fluency is not very good. In addition to this, they can go ahead and select here what language they need to pick. So if someone needs Spanish, but another one needs Thai, they can go ahead and pick each person the language that they need, and that way you can have a much more inclusive class. So from here, students can just have the Teams call in their screen at the same time as the subtitles. And regardless of what the teacher is sharing over in the Teams class, they will still have the subtitles here over on the right-hand side of their screen. So it's a pretty neat tool if you have students that speak another language other than English in class.